Is this a test? Okay, live stream. I apparently am live streaming to YouTube for my YouTube viewers and commenters. I have been gone for a very long time. As I've mentioned, I think in my last few outings on YouTube, most of my creative expression attention these days goes to Substack. So more writing than talking. And I suppose, I mean, I always intended to write scripted YouTube videos, and I've got lots of scripts now. But I'm more in a writing mode than I am in a speaking mode. And what's more, now with AI doing generative AI for voices and images and such, I don't really draw anymore. Except sometimes I'll sketch things and then I'll take a picture and I'll upload it to like Chat GPT or Claude and say, no, like this. Um, there is probably a YouTube chat somewhere, but I'm using Riverside and this is my first call. So if there's a YouTube chat that I should be looking at, I don't see it. Anyway, I'm waiting for Kenneth Harrell, who is somebody I've never spoken to for the podcast before, but we did do a recorded call. I think it was just like a Substack native video call. So the conversation exists on both of our Substack accounts, but I'm planning to put this up on the KMO show. And he should be along here in a moment or two. Maybe I should pop over to, hey, what if I go to YouTube? It's just loading, loading, loading. And go to content, live. Yeah, there I am. All right, now, is there a chat somewhere? Um, I'll say KMO talks with sci-fi author Kenneth. Oh gosh, do I know how to spell his last name? Let me pop over to. Let's see. Harrell. Harrell. All right. We'll say save. All right, now. Oh, my good people. I'm sure there's a chat, and I just don't see it. Oh, well. Forgive me for not responding to your chats. Speak amongst yourselves. All right. Now, I sent Kenneth the link. Let me send it to his email as well. Let's see. So I will tell the folks here that I got an e-bike today, and it is a fat tire bike, and it is it's like a motorcycle. It is just much more substantial than I expected it to be. One new message, open chat. There we go. Arsenal. How about the Euro collapse with power down? All right, Arsenal. Hey, you know what? I'm not knowledgeable on Europe, and I am not talking about powering down or controlled descent or degrowth or gosh, any of the basically downwing philosophies. I'm over it. I've renounced it. I'm just not in that space anymore. But hey, before I just lose myself responding to the chat, hey Daniel, yes, e-bikes are fantastic. I haven't taken a ride on mine yet. I had to stop putting it together in order to get on the call here to talk to Kenneth, and hopefully he's not looking at some screen saying waiting to be let in. Let's see. So I'm going to invite. Sorry, everybody. This is my first time using this new streaming software, recording software. Supposedly, it's got some cool AI features for like post production. I am looking forward to that. Okay, send invite. Please enter a valid email address. Well, how about that one? There we go. All right. And Kenneth said he's in, I guess, the West Coast somewhere, and he said that he could start after 5 p.m. Pacific. So that was like 2 minutes ago. And I also told him we didn't have to start at exactly that time if that's the end of his workday, if he needs some time to decompress or recharge his batteries, that that would be fine. So I'm happy to sit here and chatter in the to you folks in the chat. So Daniel says e-bikes are fantastic, perfect for being around a city. So I live in a town of 5,500 thereabouts, and it's funny because when I started researching e-bikes, all of a sudden I started seeing electric powered vehicles all over the place. Some of them e-bikes, some of them scooters. Haven't seen a trike yet, but yeah, there's a lot around. I was talking to a coworker and she asked, "Why not just get a regular bike?" And I said, "Well, there's a very steep hill between me and the library. I work at the library, and it goes both ways. I mean, it's down into a valley and then up, and it's very steep going and coming. So uh, in the summertime here when it's 100 degrees, if I were to ride a regular bike to work at the library, I would just be drenched in sweat by the time I got there. And also, I just have to say that the darn things just look so cool, and I'm I'm interested in longer range journeys than I would normally do just under a regular under my own power, basically. And then there's the fantasy of well, get some solar powers going, and if the collapse does come, I've got solar power and an electric bike. Now, I don't have solar panels, so it's only a half completed dream. And I still haven't put the seat on my bike or the fenders, or it is not ready to ride. All right. Oh, I saw something. New recording track created. A new recording track started. Um, so maybe there was a hiccup. Heads up, new recording track started. Learn more. The participant is still being recorded with the new inputs. However, during the transition, there is a chance that some content may have not recorded locally. Okay, so I'm guessing that there was just a little jitter on my camera input when I put my drink down. So I think the best thing to do will be to set the drink down there. Okay. So Daniel says he used to commute using an e-bike. I will be commuting, but my commute is like 3 minutes. We're building a new library. It won't be done for over a year. So, and I'm not the one building it. So I don't know why I'm saying we. I just work at the library. Parker says, "Hi, KMO. You got an electric bike? Awesome. Yes, it arrived today. And my dog is, she's big. She's about 100 pounds. She's very friendly, but she's a dog. And when some unfamiliar presence, comes out of the property, she barks. So I saw the FedEx guy pull up, and I got out, and I mean, I took the dog by the collar, and I stepped outside, and I clipped her onto a line, which is used to be, attached to a stake driven into the ground. Now it's wrapped around a tree. But anyway, she was secure, and the guy was carrying the bike in the box, toward the house, and he stopped, and he said he I don't remember if he asked me or told me to put the dog in the house, but if I put the dog in the house, I mean, I have to take her off the line to put her in the house. And then if I have this heavy bike and I open the door, she's just going to bolt out. So I need her to be on the line. And I told him, it's okay. You don't have to approach. You can just stay right there. I'll come to you. And he repeated his request. Again, maybe it was a request, maybe it was a command, but anyway, he repeated his desire that I put the dog in the house. And I explained to him, look, that's not going to work. You don't have to come any closer if you're afraid. She's on the line. You can set the bike down. It's fine. And he drops it. like it's a big heavy thing, and he didn't slam it down onto the ground, but he put one corner down and then dropped it and walked away without a word, and got in his his big van, and away he went. And I'm thinking, man, if one, it's the end of the day. Maybe for him it was the end of a long, difficult, unpleasant day. I'm willing to cut people some slack, but also a young guy, so there is the stereotype of just the young people who are completely averse to any sort of pushback on anything, and expecting to have their psychological vulnerabilities and weaknesses validated. And maybe he was bitten by a dog, maybe dogs were a problem for him in his job, but I had a hold of the dog. The dog was not being aggressive. She is a very friendly dog. And I don't know. I mean, I don't need to talk to the guy. And because he is a FedEx driver, and because I do work at the library and we get FedEx packages, I mean, I recognized his face. I'm sure I will see him again. So we don't need to, create any bad blood. But it was just a very bad experience. Not a very bad experience. It was a mildly irritating experience. All right. I keep seeing these little like movements over in the chat, but I don't see anything new. Oh, from Parker. Parker says, I recently got a rad power city bike. The package should be able to handle some rough treatment. Yeah, I opened the box. It was well packed, and this this thing. I mean, if my setup here were portable, I'd take you into the next room and show you the bike. It looks like a motorcycle. It is very burly. All right, so my YouTube folk. I mean, it's amazing that I start streaming here for the first time in months, and bang, you guys are right here. You just must. Are you on your phones? I mean, did you just get a notification on your phone saying that I was streaming, or did you just happen to be logged in, or how is it that you're just at the ready? And have you been reading the Substack? When I do put up an audio podcast, it automatically gets posted here to YouTube, but I don't. I haven't been doing anything. I haven't been changing the cover art. I haven't been, putting in any fancy show descriptions or anything like that. Basically, nothing to promote or even attract the attention of the algorithm to say, hey, show this to people. So they're getting like 50 views. And because they are audio podcasts, I'm sure at least half the people are, hitting play, seeing that the image is not changing at all. Then it's just voices, and then, switching off. And I haven't even dug into the stats to see, how long people stick around. It's just YouTube, the YouTube algorithm, the on again, off again monetization. I mean, I could apply again, but I'm not going to. It is not worth the aggravation, and the payments come around so infrequently anyway. All right, Daniel says notification on my phone while cooking dinner. Right on. Parker says FedEx gets a lot of heavy packages. I ship my heavy boxes through them, I guess. They are the cheapest over a certain weight. I'm addicted to YouTube. Well, I have to say I watch a lot of YouTube. I have a Roku TV, and for me, YouTube is as easy as any other streaming service. And I can get live TV on the Roku. I just don't, because really YouTube is all I need. But right now, I do have Disney Plus so that I can watch Andor. And I think I still have. Oh, I definitely still have Netflix. I got it so I could watch the new season of Black Mirror, and I'm holding on to it for another month so I can watch the new season of Love, Death, and Robots. And I had Apple TV for Severance, and I also was watching Silo, but I didn't get through the second season of Silo. I just kind of lost momentum with it and never got back into it. But most of my TV watching is just YouTube, just from bed basically. And because I don't have a keyboard, I just have the Roku TV remote. It's I don't have a lot of control. Like, entering in a title one letter at a time with the TV remote is tedious. So I basically just pick from the menu of things that YouTube is forcing down my throat. And just not every video, but it seems like multiple times a day, YouTube wants to show me Mint Mobile commercials. And I've had Mint Mobile for like 2 or 3 years now. Like, I'm on board, guys. You don't need to show me the commercials anymore. Anyway, let me pop over and look for a message from Kenneth. Let's see. Nothing. I'm just going to give him a quick heads up. All right. 11 new messages. Open chat. Let's see. Parker says, oh, hey, I can show these comments. So there we go. Look at that. Parker says, just watch season 7 of Black Mirror. So I'm happy to talk about Black Mirror. I thought season 6 had some serious problems. Oh, here we go. Nope, this is the one I'm looking for. Yeah, watched Hotel Reverie twice. That was the one that I didn't hate it. I didn't even dislike it, but I could tell it was trying to recreate the San Junipero episode, and it wasn't. I mean, it didn't do it. And you know, TV production takes a long time, and so we're not going to see TV or movies that were produced after the Trump election vibe shift for another couple of years. So we're going to get the last of the last dregs of the preachy stuff, the preachy lefty stuff from Hollywood for next 12, 18, 20 months. It's still going to be trickling out, and it's going to seem a little off, like off kilter. And Black Mirror is like that. Now, let's see, what were the other episodes? Of course, I mean, there's just no surprise here, but the episode with Paul Giamatti. I mean, one, his acting elevates it, but two, that was an astounding story. And for those who don't know, I will describe it briefly with no spoilers. But an old guy, and Paul Giamatti, unfortunately, is an old guy these days. He's out working in his garden, and he gets a notification that this woman has died. He's like, oh, I don't know that person. And then he finds out that the name that he was given, it was her married name, and that it was somebody that was a not just a girlfriend, but a very like life partner style soulmate that he had a very bad breakup with in his youth, and she died. And the survivors are looking to reconstruct her life, and they send him the little Black Mirror temple bead that you put on, and so an AI can interface with him and basically try to figure out, like, gather information on this woman that nobody but this guy would have. And it's for the funeral. And he's going through and talking about the bad breakup, and it unfolds in such a way that we learn more, but he also is learning more. And then, spoiler if I say anything more, but it was excellent, just absolutely excellent. And then there was one with Peter Capaldi, where he basically the singularity happens while he is sitting in a police interrogation room, being interrogated by the good cop and the bad cop, and he keeps asking for a pen, and when he finally gets the pen and paper, he scribbles something on the pen and paper, which basically brings on the singularity. And I know that's kind of a spoiler, but I haven't told you how that comes about, or the backstory that unfolds in flashbacks over the course of this interrogation. But that, I think, my favorite one was the one with Paul Giamatti, but I think my second favorite was that one, and then my third favorite was the continuation of the USS Callister, which is like the Star Trek online role playing game, and you've got neural clones of human beings stuck in the game, having to rob other players in order to just keep enough money to keep their ship going. And it's not deep, it's not Black Mirror deep, but it's fun. All right, so been on almost 20 minutes now, just jabbering, jabbering, jabbering. But Parker says, yes, talk about Black Mirror. It worked for me. He's talking about the Hotel Reverie episode, which has got Aquafina in it, and I know a lot of people don't like her. I enjoy her energy. I mean, she only has the one character; she just always plays herself, but it's fine. I mean, so yeah, for me, Aquafina is a bonus. Parker says, "Here, let's show on stream. It worked for me. If it was more straight, less woke version, it would be the same feeling for me." Yeah, there's not a whole lot I can say about it without some serious spoilers, other than to say it's using AI and virtual reality to infuse new life into old movies, basically to keep a dying movie studio solvent. They're not really making new movies anymore, but they have this back catalog of classic stuff. But it's not really appreciated in this fast-paced, attention deficit age that we live in. Okay. Well, let me pop on back over here and see if there's any word from Kenneth. Nope, not yet. All right. So let me see if I can share my screen and just show you guys stuff. Let me find something to put on screen that isn't embarrassing. How about my Substack? So when I do this, I'm reaching over the mic arm. Not the greatest setup. I haven't been podcasting much recently, so I'm not really dialed in terms of my setup here. So let's see. It is Gen X sci-fi dot party, and that redirects to my Gen X science fiction and futurism Substack. Here it's supposed to. I'm just seeing a blank page. This is not good. All right, well, just go to Substack. Anybody watching Andor? It's one of the things I'm interested to talk to Kenneth about when he shows up. Let's see. Okay. Got my Substack on screen. Now, how can I share it with you? Screen? No. Oh, hey, yes. There we go. Now, there's not anything I especially wanted to show you here. I'm just testing the screen share possibilities. So I was pretty happy with this image as much as with the actual blog post. But it's about Tron Legacy, the original Tron, Tron Ares, and of course Jeff Bridges plays both the Big Lebowski, or I'm not sure which Lebowski was the Big Lebowski, but he plays the dude, and he also plays Flynn, Kevin Flynn, in Tron and Tron Legacy. And I don't think he's going to be in Tron Ares, but anyway, here's a. Of course, this is AI generated by ChatGPT 4o, and I've written a lot about the image generation capabilities and limitations of that model because it's very good, as you can see. I mean, that's a pretty decent likeness of Jeff Bridges, and I said, hey, mix up the Tron uh, outfit and the sweater, the famous sweater for the dude, and put him in Flynn's stronghold lair with the light coming from above and below, and there's the light cycle in the background, and he's holding a drink. Hey, there's a beverage here, man. So, of course, that wasn't the first image that Chat GPT created for me, according to this prompt. In fact, I've written blog posts about how frustrating it can be to bump up against the thought control safety protocols of the open AI image generator. It is quite restrictive. and it refuses to generate images that seem completely harmless. You know, just because there's like, if there's any indication of a potential power imbalance between two people being implied by an image, it's like, oh, sorry, not safe, can't do that. Rather annoying. All right, let's look over here for Kenneth. Um, hmm, okay, well, there we are. Nope, no message from him. So let's go back to the chat. Yukon, hey KMO, good to see you. I just finished Andor. Right on. So you just finished the first 3 episodes of season 2, I'm guessing. I'm happy to talk about Andor. Let's see. Parker says, "Have not watched Andor yet. Not even season 1. Oh, if so, man, you have got a treat ahead of you. At least I say that. I just watched a video today by Overlord DVD, Dictor Van Doomcock, better known just as Doomcock. He wears like a Doctor Doom looking helmet, and he broadcasts from his secret stronghold in the center of the earth. And he's got little Cthulhu puppet in a vat that he talks to. And so, he's one of the anti woke sci-fi and genre fans who are fighting to save pop culture. And he's talking about Andor, and he's been, of course, very critical of Disney Star Wars, as have I. But it's not my day job to be critical of Star Wars, whereas it is his. But Andor has been great, and what Doomcock had to say, and I'm definitely sympathetic to this point of view, if not, and here I am repeating it, so obviously I'm more than just sympathetic. But he said, as a war espionage thriller, a slow burn, build the scenario, really lay on the consequences and the weight for that kind of movie or TV show or storytelling. Andor is excellent. And I agree. On that level, as that type of entertainment or as an example of that genre, it is excellent. But is it good Star Wars? And his position is no, it's not good Star Wars because it's totally serious. It is joyless. It's miserable. Everybody in it is miserable. And if they're happy, they're pretending to be happy because it's part of their cover. and, there's no quips, there's no one liners, there's no Saturday morning movie theater serial adventure and swashbuckling, and it's very dark and very somber and very serious. And if you like that, it is an excellent example of that type of media. But that's not what Doomcock wants from Star Wars. Whereas for me, all the attempts, like, I really did enjoy the first season of The Mandalorian. And as much as I wanted to like Ahsoka because Rosario Dawson looked great as the character, oh man, that show that failed hard. It was just tedious and slow and boring. And as great as Rosario Dawson looked, in the costume, she does not have the physicality to pull off that role. I mean, she's physically fit, she looks good, but she's not a swordswoman. She's not a stunt person. But with her obscured so much by the outfit, the makeup and the prosthetics, you could have a stunt person most of the time on camera, and for almost all of the fight scenes and the action scenes, that should all be a stunt person. But it's not. I mean, they let Rosario Dawson do most of the fighting, and she's just she's visibly slower than you would expect somebody who's even just a normal human trained fighter to be, much less a Jedi. So, and I could overlook that, but also I really love Ashley Eckstein, who was the voice of Ahsoka in the animated series. I mean, she is the voice of Ahsoka. So, okay, the character's much older, her voice has changed, that's fine, but I would much rather see an animated Ahsoka series with Ashley Eckstein in the title role than see, any more of this live action adaptation of a character who started out in animation, and she's built for the animation environment. Anyway, Dan says, not watching Andor. Been stung so many times by Star Wars derivatives. Is it worth watching? Well, I've been talking about it. It is amazing. If what you're in for is a very somber, heavy, um, like Cold War political thriller, and it's not a Cold War. I mean, there is no rival power to the Empire. There is just the rising rebellion. But we also have, viewpoints of characters working for the Imperial Security Directorate. So, we get the viewpoint of the Empire, and they're, looking to maintain order and quash these disorderly rebellions and basically create a harmonious machine of, of civics to bring order to the galaxy. And, order, it sounds heavy-handed, but it beats chaos. For the people on the ground, it sure beats chaos. Um, in some instances, the people that we're seeing on the ground who are suffering under the empire, they're willing to sow a little chaos in order to establish a new order. Hmm. Uh, Another good thing to watch on Star Wars, on Disney, if you're into the animated stuff, they're not doing like the Bad Batch ran its course, but they've got these little micro series with like 15-minute episodes, and they've got one that's Tales of the Jedi, and I think the most recent one is Tales of the Empire, and it's quite good. It is quite good. These are all with very minor characters, like oh, what's her name? The one who tried to frame Ahsoka for the bombing at the Jedi Temple, Barriss Offee. She starts out in prison, the night of Order 66 at the beginning of this, this little micro series, Tales of the Empire, and she joins the Inquisitors and basically betrays them. And we see like these are just little 15 minute episodes, but you get time jumps of years or even decades between them in some instances. So you're getting these very big story arcs. And because they are these little bite-sized snippets with sort of minor characters, they're free to do things that you can't do with the legacy characters. And the animation just gets better and better, with each passing year. Like when the Clone Wars animated series first hit the movie theater, and then was on the Cartoon Network, it was pretty stiff. I mean, there's some beautiful backgrounds and whatnot, but the animation itself was pretty stiff. And the character design, this is what, like 15 years ago. It was designed to the characters were designed to basically take advantage of the computer technology of the day, and it's advanced a lot since then. So every time there's a new production cycle, or a new cycle of Moore's law, you can just see, watching from season to season of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, that everything gets more advanced. The backgrounds get more detailed, the character models get more detailed. But the thing that was lagging behind, even as everything else was getting better, was in fact the movement of the characters. It was always kind of stiff, and they finally beaten that. I guess they beat it really with when they brought back Clone Wars for season 7, and they actually had some motion capture for some of the big lightsaber fights. Actually getting stunt people to do the fights and to wear the motion capture rigs and whatnot. And oh, it was absolutely gorgeous. There was a great fight between Ahsoka and Darth Maul that must be seen. All right. So I'm kind of getting the impression here that Kenneth has forgotten that we were going to be talking. Let me pop back over. Uh, Still nothing in the chat. Over to Gmail, nothing there. All right. Well, I did need to test out the Riverside interface here. So I think, unless there's another question in the chat for me, I'm going to wrap it up here. Let's see. But it was useful to me to actually try to do different things with the interface while talking, because that's something I will need to be doing. Let's see. So this is interesting. It like I'm popping around to different browser tabs, but it's just showing you the one browser tab that I've authorized, which is handy. All right, opening the chat again. Dan says, okay, good to hear, great to hear. All right, so that sounds like a hey, KMO, it was nice to talk to you or hear you talk. Catch you later. But this is the interface for the time being. So whenever I'm recording conversations, for podcasts, I think I'm going to be live streaming too, unless the guest asks not to live stream. So the chat will be here. Um, can't always promise to respond to it, quickly because podcast conversations have to find their own rhythm and their own pace and their own direction, and they can't always be beholden to the chat. But I am happy to hear from all y'all. And again, do check out Gen X Science Fiction and Futurism. And when it gets easier to do so, like when I can assign the task to an AI, I will be porting that content over to you all here in a form that is easier for you to consume, or not necessarily easier to consume, but something that will cross your path in a way that my Substack new post notifications do not. All right, that is all for now. Now I have to find the stop button. There it is. All right, catch y'all later.